Day 569 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So starting off, once again, we'll take a look at those Russian losses, as currently Russia sits on more than 271,000 military personnel losses, and that represents an addition of 470 within the past 24 hours. Then as for hardware losses, so 13 tanks, 4 APVs, quite low, all things considered for that one, and an eye-poppingly whopping 28 artillery systems. Also, in light of recent events, you just have to love how there was never a separate category on the numbers board for submarines. Because truly, it was the last thing on anybody's mind that would be destroyed in this war. Then we'll head across to the Ukrainian map today as Ukrainian air defenses shot down all 17 out of the Shahed drones fired into Ukraine overnight by Russia. And the failed attempts that Russia had hoped to achieve was largely aimed in the far west, where many of Ukraine's strike aircraft are based, in what turned out to be one great big retaliatory strike failure, which was in response to Ukraine's successful strikes on Russia's landing ship and submarine in Sevastopol 2 nights ago, and a full S-400 air defense battery complex just yesterday. Now, Russia always does these types of retaliation strikes after Ukraine takes something valuable of theirs out, but the Russian military has long since lost the capability to launch as much as 70 missiles in a single missile salvo to put on display as an act of retribution. Instead, it was just these 17 ineffective Shahed drones. So Russia's ability to project military strength is just not what it used to be this day a year ago. All because they've been firing an unsustainable amount of missiles over the past 12 months, largely at, and also fairly unsuccessfully at, non-military targets. Then we'll head across on the map to Bukmut today as Ukrainian forces entered the outskirts of the town just today, which is pretty significant considering the front lines on the outskirts of the western entrance into the town have not actually changed in quite some time. But the defensive manpower for Russia isn't quite what it used to be, although there's not much left of the actual city to take anymore. The AFU's operations in this town is to perform maximum attrition against the invading side, then simply take back the land. And ideally to push the Russian forces all the way back to the river and beyond. Because once that land before the river is taken back, it's very unlikely Russia will ever cross that river again. Also, you can visually see on this map exactly what Russia has been trying to accomplish here as well, which is taking the main highway all the way up to Slovyansk. But that 30 kilometers or 20 miles for the Russian army is simply a bridge too far. In fact, I think there is an actual bridge on the way there, maybe even a few. So let's zoom in. We can see, great. So we've got the first one there, then the second one, of course, the canal, then a third one there. So there's a few, even a fourth one. Actually, probably one too many to show. But of course, no army can just travel up a main road. They have to take all of the corresponding land that is adjacent to the road as well. Oh, then just south of Bukmut, there was some earlier conflicting reports that Andrivka was liberated by the AFU. But it does very much appear now that that has all been cleared up, and we'll even show you a bit of the date map, which shows you this lag in map, even shows that it's complete there. All liberated. Then somewhere in the east, we have some footage of a very surgical precision strike of sorts as it pertains to the first-person view drones. And as you can see here, some very, very slow, precise flying of the FPV drone as it finishes off the abandoned T-72 Russian tank. A munition drop into the hatch, and the rest is history. And at this point, we can certainly see the sheer versatility of modern drone warfare has completely changed the landscape forever. Then we'll head across to the southern front lines into the Zaporizhia front, as after Ukrainian forces broke through Russia's first line of defense, they've been adding to the multiple breach points on the second line of defense ever since. But the way that this transpired was actually quite interesting, as Russia's tactical choices have puzzled many analysts, as Russia initially built strong defensive fortifications, but instead focused on defending in front of those lines rather than within them, often counterattacking and enduring heavy losses in the process. And although there's no frontline changes really to speak of today, in this region there was some footage of an American-made Ukrainian RQ-20 Puma reconnaissance drone which survived a hit by a Russian anti-aircraft missile. Now, do note, many air defense missiles don't actually hit or impact a target head-on, but rather they're detonated by proximity fuses when they're within 5 to 7 meters or about 15 to 20 feet of the target, and the shrapnel does the rest. Although not always the case. For instance, the Patriot PAC-3 air defense system specifically performs as a direct impact method, which is usually better suited to specific types of threats such as intercepting cruise and ballistic missiles. As such, the Patriot PAC-3 became a very welcome addition to Ukrainian air defenses when it came through, as it's all about picking the right tool for the right job. Then moving across, as an explosion was reported in the Kherson Oblast, this time at the Russian-occupied side of at Novokhovka. There we go. And it reportedly appears to be related to an aircraft dropping one of its munitions, but we can't even say yet if that was a Ukrainian drop or even a Russian mistake. Then we'll head on down south, as limited traffic flows have now recommenced at the recently repaired Kerch Bridge. You know, that one that Russia built to connect onto Russia. But deep down, we all know at this point that this situation isn't built to last. Then also nearby, Ukrainian naval drones attacked more Russian Navy assets in the Black Sea. This time it was the Vasiliv Baikov patrol ship causing some damage to the vessel. And it all happened not too far away from occupied Sevastopol waters. And the Russian patrol ship is in fact a significant Russian Navy corvette, armed with naval guns and air defense systems. So just when we thought there'd be a bit of a break in these waters, the armed forces of Ukraine clearly have no intention of stopping until Russia is ousted. And naturally, Russia indeed claims that the attack was repelled, but this footage clearly shows a different story. And it's ongoing events like these that truly make me wonder if the Russian MOD is too afraid to speak truth to power and actually give Putin the bad news on the ground, or in the water, but you get the point. Then moving across to some news for today, so the UK has provided Ukraine with Malloy T-400 heavy unmanned aerial vehicles, as announced by the British Ministry of Defence. The UAVs possess the capability to transport weaponry and various munitions, and even soldiers from the field, as they boast a payload capacity of up to 180 kilograms, which is roughly 1.5 Kim Jong-uns. And a range extending up to 70 kilometers or about 45 miles. Then moving to some Russian hardware news. Looks like Russian fuel tank drivers have gotten the memo about their vehicles being targeted, so some of them have decided to install some makeshift garage door panels to the front of the vehicle for extra emotional support. Which is great for Ukrainian arrows and spears, not so great against your average AFU drone. And it still surprises me how Russian personnel time after time create a cope barrier that is only designed to protect against a single vector of attack. For example, top down or front on, as with the case for this one. Which is not at all a problem for the increasingly proficient Ukrainian drone operators, like this happy chap right here, that was determined to ensure that his drone found a home. Then in some more news, according to a report by the New York Times on September 14th, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to visit Washington following his planned participation in the United Nations General Assembly next week. And these United Nations General Assemblies, or UNGAs for short, are the types of events that typically attract your heads of state. You know, quite naturally. But of course, we won't be seeing Putin there for fear of literally never getting a chance to go back home, due to the arrest warrant out on him. Instead, Russia has confirmed that Foreign Minister Lavrov the Clown will lead the Russian delegation to the UNGA instead. And so events like these can sometimes be pretty comical. Maybe we'll see some dirty looks or an exchange of some really strong language. But either way, I look forward to the chance to mention something that happens on the day. Then we'll head across to a final quick funny to round it all off today, guys. So now I see a lot of footage of, shall we say, Russia's society just devolving, but I never share it. So as a little change for this funny, you'll see we have a drunk Russian guy climbing the Princess Turandot monument fountain, which is just a 2-minute walk from the Kremlin where Putin resides. And as you might expect, the drunken guy proceeds to break the monument alongside with a broken leg and heel as well. Now, its resulting fall is a bit too spicy for this platform, so I've had to bleep just a little bit of it out. Oh, and you'll notice another guy sitting to the side, barely even responding to the event. In all likelihood, quite drunk as well. And after an incident of this magnitude, it's definitely straight to the front line for this statue climber, irrespective of his newly found health condition. So that's it for today, guys. That is well and truly a wrap for the week. And next time I see you guys, we'll be sitting on a cool 90k subscribers. Fingers crossed, at least anyway. As really, we're a great big community here, looking to spread sometimes just a very basic message even to civilians inside of corrupt and aggressive countries, which could be summed up very simply just as, don't be a dick. So cheers guys, hope you've enjoyed, and see you in the next one.